Hey, what is up? I am Cam from epicconversions.com, and today I want to explain to you why I am here in this make money online space, why I don't quite fit in with all these other marketers around here, and most importantly, why it's not too late for you to start seeing some real results online. I don't care how old you are, I don't care how broke you might be, I don't care how many times you might have tried. Why online business is still something that you can make work for you. These are the things I want to talk about today. To do it, when I was a kid, I used to collect baseball cards at school. And I didn't just collect baseball cards. I went to school, I traded them with my friends. I was always trying to trade up, get the better trades. It was a very entrepreneurial mindset. We used to have the school fundraisers and they wanted us to sell candy bars. This is back in the late 80s, early 90s. Well, I was the kid who went door to door selling those candy bars. And then I would call my grandparents and my uncles and aunts and try to get them to buy candy bars. And then I would con my mom into taking my candy bars to work with her to sell them to her fellow employees. So this was kind of my mindset from an early age. And then as I got older, I found a few neighbors who wanted me to mow their grass for them. Around that time, I started getting into comic books. So it wasn't enough for me just to be into comic books and mow grass for money to buy comic books. No, I had to turn that into a scheme too. I would mow the grass and then I would take that money, and the comic book store was like 3 miles from my house. So I would ride my bicycle down to the comic book shop, and I would pick up a price guide, and I would try to figure out which number one issues were coming out that might go up in price in a few months. You gotta remember, this was the early 90s, and comic books were experiencing a renaissance in the early 90s, and they had value. And every month, I would go down there and pick up the number one issues that were coming out, and I would try to figure out which ones were valuable. And then, whichever ones went up in value, I would sell them back to the comic book store to make money. And this went on for a while. But the point was that I was really into entrepreneurship even from an early age. When I was a kid, I didn't recognize it as entrepreneurship. I just recognized it as I was always trying to come up with schemes to make money. As I grew older and I got closer to graduating, I stopped thinking about little money making schemes and little businesses that I was doing to make money. And I started thinking about what I was going to do when I got out of high school. I came from a poor family. We didn't have a lot of money, and this is the late 80s and early 90s. There wasn't any YouTube, there wasn't any internet. We didn't have a computer at my house. So the idea of starting your own business back then as a kid getting out of high school was like a pipe dream. Now, that wasn't to say that no kids out there never did it. I know there's plenty because I've read about them. But I can just say that where I was from and in my mindset, it just felt like I needed to get a job and go to work. So I graduated and real life happened. When I talk about real life, I will say that I worked a series of odd jobs, from a pizza place, office supply store, video game store, telemarketing center, and eventually when I was 19, I joined the Navy. And I was in the Navy for 5 years. I was a corpsman in the Navy. It's kind of like a medic. Now, when I got out of the Navy, I worked multiple jobs. I moved from Florida to Rhode Island to Ohio. I got married. I got divorced. So fast forward to me being 34 years old. I found myself with a girlfriend, a stepdaughter, and a 2-year-old son. I found myself grinding away in year 7 of a job that I really didn't like. But you know what? It paid the bills. It kept food on the table for my family. And we were doing okay until I was fired. Whenever someone says they were fired, most people want to know why. Why were you fired? Well, I'll tell you why I was fired. I was fired because I started getting sick. My gallbladder went bad. I didn't know it was my gallbladder at the time. All I knew was that I started not feeling good quite a bit, and I started having to call in sick a lot to work. Now, before that, my attendance was impeccable, and I had built up weeks and weeks of sick time. But it didn't matter, because when I started calling in sick a lot, they didn't care about all that sick time I had built up. They just fired me. So now I had a decision to make. I remember sitting at my kitchen table with a 2-year-old son, a stepdaughter, and a girlfriend, basically my family, trying to figure out what was I going to do. Now, the safe answer was just go get another job. But I didn't want to do it because I had just felt betrayed by this company that I'd worked for. So I sat down at the table and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. And I decided I was going to go back to school. I was going to use my savings. I had 401k. I had some money I had saved up. I was going to go back to school for business, right? Now, this was a hard decision because I had a lot of guilt associated with going back to school and not just getting another job. In my mind, it was my duty to support my family. It was my duty to take care of my family. It was my duty to go to work. So it felt very hard. It took a lot of courage for me to go back to school and take a chance learning something new at 34 years old. You got to remember, I was in the Navy for medical stuff. So I had done all this medical stuff my whole life, and now I'd worked in a hospital. Why would I stop doing all this stuff and go into business? It was a big risk, and it took a lot of courage. But I said, screw it, I'm taking the risk. I remember getting a call from my old place of employment wanting me to come back to work after they had already figured out that my gallbladder went bad and, I had to have surgery to have that removed and everything. They tried to call me and have me come back, and I was like, no thanks, I'm done. I'd already made the decision to move on. I'm really glad that I made the decision to move on. It was a big risk, and it took a lot of courage. I had to have a lot of self-belief because just the way I grew up, the man is supposed to support his family, and I just felt a lot of guilt for taking that time for myself to go back to school. It was not easy. It was hard. As I was going to school, and then much later as I was working for myself, what I discovered and what I realized was all those years I had worked for someone else, all those years that I had done those jobs that I didn't really like, but I was just doing them for a paycheck, what I realized was I was grinding away at my spirit. And it was bleeding over into other areas of my life. I was miserable where I worked. I didn't like where I worked, but I was doing it because I felt like I needed to do it for my family. I grew up with the understanding that most people don't like their jobs. You just do the job to get your money, and then you go home and enjoy your life. It's an ends to a means, and most people don't like their jobs. That was how I grew up. And, what I realized was that's not a very good way to look at life or your job, because it basically grinds away at your spirit until you're just a miserable person in general. Not just a miserable person with the job, but it kind of bleeds over into other areas of your life, and you're just a miserable person in general. So working for myself was a fantastic, amazing thing to be able to do. How I forgot all those years that I had that entrepreneurial spirit. Because don't get me wrong, it's not for everybody. Not everyone's going to find happiness working for themselves. But me, from a young age, I enjoyed those kinds of things. And then somewhere between graduating high school and 34 years old when I got fired, I had just forgotten, and I just grinded it out. It's amazing to me that I forgot that part of my soul, the part of the thing that actually made me enjoy life, and then somehow I was lucky enough at 34 years old to get fired and remember it again. That's why I'm in MMO. That's why I'm in Make Money Online, because I feel like it's the first stop for all newbies who want to start making money on the internet. Whether you want to do like hair care products, sell hamsters, or start a website about AM radio, whatever you want to do with your online endeavors, usually Make Money Online is the first stop for everybody. I think that providing for your family is honorable, and I do believe it's your duty to provide for your family. But I also believe that working at a job that you absolutely hate for years and years and years grinds away your soul, and it takes everything from you. So if you have that entrepreneurial spirit and you're in a job that you don't like and you feel like it's grinding away at you, like, I implore you to work on your online endeavors, work on your online dreams. If I can do it, anybody can do it, and I know you can do it. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how many times you might have failed. I don't care how many different things you've bought and they haven't worked out for you. And I don't care how much time you have. It doesn't matter. If you have a desire to make this work, if this is your calling and you feel it, then you should pursue it. And whatever free time you have, make the time for it. Because you'll be so much happier doing what you love to do versus what you have to do. But that's my story, and I hope it helps you out there, and I hope you succeed the fastest possible. I wish you the absolute best on your journey, and that's it, man. If you want to hear more from me, check out epicconversions.net. That's my insiders club. We do group coaching every single month there. Also, check me out on my One Step Away podcast. You can listen to that wherever you listen to podcasts, or if you don't even listen to podcasts, but you'd like to check out One Step Away, you can check it out at epicconversions.com/one step away. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace, everybody.